Oh man, 2 streams in one day? Wow, is he crazy or is he... Well, he's probably just crazy. This morning's audio damage descent stream was kind of like an emergency stream just to check out something new that just dropped today. If you haven't watched that stream, it should be up live on the channel now. Descent from audio damage is just really awesome. Something that I'm going to be using a lot. Really looking forward to the iOS version, if it ever comes to iOS, which I imagine that it will. Definitely going to be something that's going to be part of my workflow in the future. But for this stream, I want to hang out for a little bit and play with some sound and design some samples for a sample pack that's going to be coming up for Field Tone Audio. I feel like there's a lot of people in this space, a lot of people who release sample packs, and they don't really show you how sample packs are made. And something that I'm really excited about at Field Tone Audio is showing people how to do things that other people are doing. So I have it on my list to eventually do like a decent sampler sample pack masterclass showing you how to make a decent sampler library from start to finish, recording the samples, coding, UI design, everything, like packaging it up to a place where you can sell it. For this stream, I want to show how I'm going to be putting together samples for a future Field Tone Audio sample pack, and just show you kind of the sound design process, what all goes into creating samples for a sample pack. Again, I feel like there's just so many videos about people talking about their sample pack, or just like generating sounds or doing, and not that I'm not going to be doing that here, but this is going to be a little bit more hands-on than people who just like hit randomize in Ableton and then put together a sample pack. So it's just going to be a little bit more in-depth, showing you how I approach putting together sample packs, which is why I don't have too many sample packs out yet, because I'm very particular about how I want them to sound and look and feel. So yeah, that's what I want to do here. That's one of my big goals as Field Tone Audio, is to show people how to do this, how to be in front of a camera, how to put together a company, how to make sample packs, how to do all those things. So yes, I am a big iOS user. I use my iPad a lot. I recently just got a new iPad Pro, M4 iPad Pro, and I'm really stoked about it. And I've been using it a lot, getting it set up lately. So I'm going to be using an app. I'm going to be using a couple apps actually, but the biggest one that I want to use in this stream is an app called Borderlands. And if you haven't heard of Borderlands, let me show you really quick what it does. So it's this really cool UI. You can load in samples. These are all audio files, and I'm going to be touching my screen over here. I can use my trackpad so you could see the mouse, but it's really meant to be like interacted with. You're kind of playing Borderlands more than you are just like moving parameters around. So let me just show you what Borderlands does. So each of these things, obviously these are waveforms. These are samples that have been loaded in. These are the ones that come with Borderlands right when you load it up. So when you have these in here, you double tap and this creates a playhead. So this thing right here in the middle of the screen, all these dots in the middle of this bigger dot, these are grains. And these are going to trigger the sound and the playback of the samples that you've put into Borderlands. So if I move this over this sample, now it's playing that spot in that sample, and you can move this around and you'll trigger different parts of the waveform. And then just moving it over. You can see how cool this app is. And what's even cooler about it, let's move this out of the way. If you stretch this waveform, then it kind of zooms in and gets even more granular. And you can zoom way in. Okay, but then you can overlap multiple samples onto that grain. You can do the same with this. You can zoom in on that. Then you could stretch this one out and put that in. So you can see Borderlands can get kind of crazy in like the best way. And if you wanted to, you could tap again and make another grain cloud. And it just kind of gets wild as things go on. But that's not all. Let's move these out of the way here. Put that there. If you tap on the grain cloud, it opens up parameters. You just double tap on the grain cloud and you can move all of these things. So you can mess with the stereo width. You can mess with how many grains there are. All the way up to 32. The grain duration. How much the grains overlap. The probability of each grain triggering. The pitch of the grains. You can add in some vibrato, some warble. The volume of that cloud. Then you can tap out of it. And then adjust all of that on this other grain cloud over here. So now you can have two grain clouds playing at once. Reacting in different ways. We could put that back if we wanted to. And you can have a bunch of grain clouds. And they're all... you can mess with the parameters of all of them if you wanted to. And it can get kind of crazy. So I want to use Borderlands to create some samples for field tone audio. But first we need to get the sounds that I'm going to use. So we're not going to use Borderlands just yet because I want to do some processing on some things. Although I guess we could, huh? Just get rid of that. To get rid of stuff, you just kind of swipe it off the screen. So let's go to Logic. And I already had a Logic file opened up here, but we're just going to get rid of all these because I'm not using any of those. We're going to open up an audio track. And then I want my source sound to be a sound that I own, right? Because it's going to be something that I'm going to sell or distribute. So I want to make sure that I have the rights to it. And anything that I am currently distributing as field tone audio are all sounds that I have recorded myself. So I'm just going to use those so I make sure that I don't get in trouble with anyone. So we're going to go to libraries, decent sampler, full libraries, production, and let's just use a piano hit. I'm going to go here to RIST. Actually, let's go to an unreleased one. Let's use a violin sound from a sample library that I have not made yet. A decent sampler sample library that does not yet exist. It's coming. So let's open up one of these samples. And of course now it wants to take its sweet time because I don't have these samples downloaded yet. This actually might not be best. Maybe we won't do that, but I really want to use this. We'll come back to that. Let's go back down to RIST samples. Corner piano. Ah, these are not downloaded yet either. Of course not. You can see how prepared I am. This is wonderful, isn't it? Come on now, I want to use this. How long is this going to take? That's okay. That's okay. I have a second plan. I have a plan B. We're going to create a new audio track, and we're just going to use an existing decent sampler library. Actually, I might be able to take a sample out of that. So we'll open decent sampler, go to browse, file browser. We'll just use RIST, corner piano. Close that. Create a new MIDI track. I lost my cursor. Here we go. And I just want a C3. That's all I want. C3. Great. That's 2 of them. I only need 1, but thank you. This is sometimes the struggle of using an iOS device, is that things are kind of small. So okay, that's all I want. But we're going to process this a little bit and then put it back into Borderlands. So I'm going to loop this. And let's start adding some effects to this. That's my decent sampler library. By the way, you can grab RIST, which is compatible with decent sampler. There's RIST fragments, which is free. And then RIST, the full version, is $15. But there's a discount code in the description if you want to grab that. But definitely get the free version and try that out first. And then, like I said, decent sampler is free too. And as you can see, it's compatible with Logic and Ohm and Cubasis and anything that'll trigger or host samplers like decent sampler. So let's try something interesting. Let's try Filter Jam. And this is the part that's not as interesting about creating sample packs, is that you kind of just try stuff and see what works. So here with Filter Jam, we're really just changing the timbre of this piano note. Almost like a formant shift, but not exactly. So that sounds cool. And then I don't want to do anything too spatial because, well, I guess we could. Actually, that might be really interesting inside of Borderlands. So let's do a, let's find a good reverb here. I usually go for Eventide's Black Hole, so I'll just use that. I actually want this to be a little more dramatic. Take the mix down. Let's put a limiter on here so it doesn't clip. My output level to be -1. That way it won't go any higher than -1. So we won't have any clipping. And I think we could have more reverb on here. And let's get some more interesting textural stuff. I want to put like, put this before the reverb. I have a preset that I like. See, this would be really cool inside of Borderlands. This preset's available at the Patreon for free members. So you can find it for free at the Field Tone Audio Patreon if you want to use this preset. Or you can just copy the settings on the screen if you use Lo-Fi AF, which I highly recommend you do. It's a really good lo-fi app. So this sounds really cool. And I think this is already something that we could drop into Borderlands and have some fun with. So I'm going to bounce this. What's up, Moby? Thanks for stopping by. I think it really depends. I like using the iPad a lot, and that's kind of what I do here on my channel. But I've used both. I've used Logic, Ableton, Cubase on desktop. I've used Ohm, Cubasis, Logic on iPad. I think it really depends on just kind of what I'm trying to do. I think for this stream specifically, I'm just showing off how I would do it using iOS. Let's call that piano hit 1. And we'll bounce that. Now I wonder if I can just drag this over into, no, I can't. Okay. So now we need to export this audio. Do you have a preference, Moby, when you make sample packs? I'm going to put this in audio share. So then when I go to Borderlands, I can import from audio share. And there's my piano hit. So now this is what we just made in Logic. So if I throw one of these grain clouds on here, so that's already pretty cool. But I think I want the tail to be longer. So let's get rid of that and let's go back to Logic. Let's unmute this. Oops. And we'll turn off the loop. Logic Pro on desktop, live on my computer so it's easier. Plus that sampler is more robust. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it just all comes down to, you know, what you're familiar with, what you use well, how fast your workflow can be on a machine or a device. I just got this this iPad Pro and this Magic Keyboard, so I'm still figuring out my way around the constraints of this device. Space-wise, not capability-wise. Capability-wise, this is pretty rad. So let's have this go longer. And it might be fun to put the lo-fi after the reverb. So let's go over here. Into here and reorder these. Put lo-fi after reverb. Oh yeah, I think that could be really cool for granular stuff. So let's bounce that. Actually, I should just be able to hit export. This will be piano hit 2. We'll export that to audio share. Audio share is kind of like an in-between audio storage app that a lot of different apps can access. So I'm sending this from Logic to audio share, and then within, oh, that's my Teamfight Tactics I was playing earlier. Within Borderlands, you go to import and it'll read from audio share. So just a really cool way to send files around within your device. Okay, so here we are back in Borderlands. Let's see how this sounds. I don't think I'm including enough of the audio tail in my export. Include audio tail. Include master plugins. Let's normalize it. That'll probably be good. Piano hit 3. Export that. Put that in audio share. A lot of empty space on here. So a cool thing about what is this app called? Audio Share, is that you can trim audio files within it. So we can just tighten this up, and we can even add a fade in and a fade out. So we'll do that, and then save that. And I'll even trim it a little bit more. Now that made a couple copies over here. So we don't need these anymore. But I can just leave those in there. So let's go back over to Borderlands. Import the trimmed one. And now we have that. And then, like I was saying earlier, we can pitch these differently. So the end of this reverb tail here, I could pitch up, or I could pitch it down and increase the volume. SFZs? So I usually make, I haven't made SFZ like, that's for Logic Sampler, yeah? I've actually never done that. I've made contact libraries and I've made decent sampler libraries, but I haven't done any SFZ stuff for the Logic Sampler. I should. I really should, especially if I use Logic a lot. Yeah, Borderlands is kind of a granulator. It plays samples. So this audio track right here in the middle of the screen, this is a sample that I just bounced out of Logic. So it's just a piano hit with some effects. And then Borderlands is an app that will play back those files, but yes, in a granular way. So if I double tap on the screen, it makes this grain cloud playhead, and that'll trigger the sample wherever you put that cloud. But you can also like stretch out your file, and you can add multiple grain clouds. And within each of these grain clouds, there's parameters that you can adjust. So you can change the number of grains. You can change how much they smear and overlap together. You can change how long they are. You can change the X and Y, so how much of the sample each cloud pulls from. So if you want it to pull from a big area, you can do that. Or if you want it to pull from a small area, you can do that too. You can add vibrato. Make it wiggly. Sound is just wiggly air anyway, right? And then there's pitch. That sounds cool. Star Wars. Then the probability. So you can change how likely it is for each of these grains to trigger the sound. The X and Y controls the, just like from top to bottom of like the stereo image. So if I just wanted it to play the left track of the stereo, you could do that. Or the right track. Obviously you could move it then, but then if you stretch that, you could have it cover the whole thing. And then that would just like cover the entire sample there. So then what's cool about this now, and also just what's cool about the iPad in general and why I like using it so much, is if we go to Ohm, we can go to audio and set Borderlands as an inter-app audio input. Oh wait, sorry. Is it? Yeah, interlap audio. So now, inside of Ohm, we have Borderlands sending audio, so we can add more effects onto this. So we could add other desert cities as a delay. And then if we come back over to Borderlands, just move these around. So now we go back over to Ohm. And we can keep adding effects over here. Yeah, it's such a cool workflow. And Moby, this is kind of what I was talking about, why I like working with iPad, is because of all the effects and stuff that are not available on desktop. Obviously, I like desktop. You know, I compose music, and I've worked on shows and podcasts and movies. So I love desktop, but I think the constraints and also the unique things available on iPad just make it really interesting to me to want to work with. Good Lord, that's loud. So now if we wanted to, we could enable this to record. And we could record, 10 seconds of this or so. And then bump that out. Then we can go over here to files, recordings. This is today. That's that. We can send that to back to audio share. So now there's that. And then we can go back to Logic and create a new sample instrument. Let's just do, I like Sample Alchemy, because I think there's some cool stuff that you can do in here. I also just like grain stuff usually anyway. And now we should be able to go to sample folders. Well, should be able to just take this. Maybe if I just open it with Logic. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I reached the end of my capability. Let's see. Audio copy. Oh no. How do I get this in Logic? Open in Logic. See, I've done this before. Add a sample folder. Oh yeah, this is what I want, I think. Audio share. On my iPad. Oh no. Oh, you guys. Well, what if I just save it to files? That's easy. On my iPad. There we go. Farlight by Native Instruments? Yeah, Farlight's cool too. There's so many awesome samplers out there. Well, now it's going to want to upload this to the iCloud drive, so that's going to take 4 years. Well, it should be right there once it figures itself out. There it is. So now we can drop that in. And if I plug in Oh, what did I just do? Is that audio? Where'd it go? Heard it and then I lost it. Well, that's not good, y'all. Right when it was about to get cool. Can you still hear me? Yeah, you can still hear me. Okay, cool. I have that there. Should still be working. There we go. There goes that. Hold on. Switched around here. Okay. Okay. There it is. So now, in Sample Alchemy, we can play this. I was going to try to plug in my MIDI keyboard, but it didn't like when I unplugged the USB. Got mad at me. Right now I just have this charging. Hold on. There goes my light. Ugh. Yes, I'm wearing pajama pants. All right, we lost audio again. Hold on. This is going to be really cool when it works. There we go. Save that and reload Logic. Now my iPad doesn't like my keyboard. Well then. This is how I would make samples if all of my gear played properly together the way that it should. I'm not sure why these aren't playing well together at the moment. Close all these out. Plug that back in. Well, that's only slightly annoying. Let me delete that and make another Sample Alchemy track and see if that makes a difference. And now nothing wants to work. Try getting rid of this. Putting it back. Well, this is where it crashed and burned, y'all. I didn't think that this was going to be a problem for streaming. But I guess it is. I mean, it's a cool sound, you know? So that's how I would use all of these tools if they had worked properly tonight. Now I want to know. Now I'm in troubleshooting mode. So now it's just my iPad being weird, sending audio. I wonder if that's this guy's problem. Well, I guess that's a problem I didn't know I was gonna have until I got to this point of the stream. But yeah, now I just want to figure out why that happens. Because it shouldn't make a difference. But it is making a difference. Is it because my keyboard's plugged in? No, my keyboard is unplugged. Let's figure this out together, y'all. We're having an unintentional sound exploration with a really fixed LFO. Let me just reset this entirely. I should have a technical difficulties screen. That'd be funny. But I'd have to use it a lot. Okay. I don't know. Something broke. Something broke. Well, I'm gonna get this figured out, and I'm gonna stream like this again because I really want to keep doing stuff like this and showing how I make samples for sample packs and sample libraries. But apparently there's a problem with my keyboard and my iPad. So thanks for hanging out for a little bit. Sorry that this happened. Yeah, I don't really know. That's a wild one. Let me try just hard resetting my iPad. It's amazing how just turning it off and turning it back on again does usually work. So give this a second. I'm gonna plug in my keyboard so I have that ready to go. And if this doesn't work, I'm gonna jump off and do some troubleshooting and stream again in a day or two. Or maybe I'll just stream again tonight. I don't work till 4 p.m. tomorrow, so let's see. Get Logic back up here. Okay. I think it just needed a reset. Let's try that again. I don't think it liked being unplugged from, because it was charging off of my computer. So I don't think it liked being unplugged from my computer and then plugged back in to my iPad. That may have messed up some sound settings. Sample rate or something. I have IDAM enabled. So if it was getting any settings from my desktop, then it probably just crashed. There we go. Y'all hear that? It looks like it. Okay. Just needed a hard reset. Cool. So now we took that sample. So let me pull that up again. Do I still have that here? Yes. So this was the original sample. And let me turn off these effects. Thanks for sticking with me, y'all. So this is the original sample that we sent into Borderlands. Well, actually, we put some effects on here. Sent it into Borderlands to make it granular. Sent it into Ohm to add some effects. And now it's back in Logic as a playable sample. And because I know the original sample was in C, it was just a C3, as long as we have that mapped to the root note over here, everything's going to play out just fine. But I believe Logic automatically does that, so you don't really have to worry with that too much. Oh, preview key. That's just a preview. Root key. So C3. There we go. So you do have to do some settings in there. And we'll mute that because that has stuff going on in there. So now we can add more effects to this and play this as a sample. But even just Sample Alchemy has really cool stuff going on within it. Sample Alchemy itself can be a granular playback engine. What's up, Audible? Welcome back. Let's just load that into the regular sampler because I need to play with the regular sampler more. I don't play with that enough. Quick sampler, single sample. That's all I have, so that works. I just have one sample. This guy right here. Can we run on top? This can be right on top, I promise. There we go. Optimize tuning and loudness. Search for loop points and crop silence, or use original tuning, loudness, looping, and length. Let's try optimized. That sounds cool. So this is from that piano sample that we sent into Borderlands. And let's see, we can do some filter stuff. We can do a little amp modulation to make it more pad-like. Let's give it a little bit more decay. And Close that. Filter cutoff. Lush and fat. Oh, my wife's calling. How about that? Hello, honey. You're on the air. With YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Okay. We'll see you in a little bit.
Okay. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
That was Mrs. Fieldtone Audio, everyone. Let's see. Well, let's add some effects to this now. Sample that. Yeah, that's gonna go in. I'll have to rip the stream audio and add that in. Let's see. I didn't think that call would come through on my iPad. I just got this iPad, so I don't know what settings I need to turn off still. So this is from one piano sample from a decent sampler library that's available. You disable calls on other devices from your iPhone inside the settings app. Thank you. I just got the so I just got a new phone and a new iPad. When I transported all of my stuff over to my new iPhone, my contacts didn't transfer, my settings didn't transfer. So I guess a few other things also did not transfer, stuff like that. That's okay. I can figure that out later. But thank you for telling me what to look for. So. Again, this was the original sample. And then we put that in Borderlands. So you can see there's a lot of stuff that you can do in Borderlands. Oh my goodness. So there's the stock samples that come in. Swipe them away. And then you import, or you can record in. And I believe, if I remember right, there's a way to modulate these too. So you can have these kind of move around. I'm not sure what's going on the screen there, but that looks fun. Oh, here we go. So you can kind of have these float around. There we go. That's really cool. Yeah, it's the record button up here in the top right. Oh yeah, I feel like not enough people mess around with Borderlands. Maybe it's just me. It is an older app, so maybe it's gotten forgotten. But this is one that I'm trying to play with a lot more. I also want to play with Sampler a lot more. I've owned Sampler forever, and I just have not played with it as much as I should. Let's come back over here. Let's see what we got in here. Just want to hook everything into their DAW. Yeah. Yes, this is a an M4 iPad Pro. I used to use an iPad Mini 6, which I love very much. And I don't think I'm doing anything on here that wouldn't also be able to do. So nothing too crazy. And I don't know how long you've been here for, but I took one sample, this piano sample, and kind of did the same thing that I'm doing here with Borderlands and sending it into Ohm. And I exported a sample and made a quick sampler sample of it. Oh, now it won't play because I have it muted. This is from one sample of one piano hit. Just a C3 piano sample. And then I feel like sometimes with samples, especially with a piano sample, you can kind of tell if it's just one sample spread out over a keyboard. But if you add enough effects, you can get people to not really realize that it's only one sample. That's just one C3 hit. Processed, exported, processed again, exported, and now processed a third time. But you know. Let's reverse it. That'd be cool. I mean, this would be really cool. This sample would be really cool in Outgrowth. Let's see, collapse this. And let's go on my iPad, Sky. Let's do something like, just like little granular one. Delicious, like processed cheese. That's all I want my sounds to be described as, honestly. Reflect is cool. I need to learn a new chord progression. This is the same chord progression I've been playing since I was like 18. Do we anyone else, anytime you pick up a piano or a guitar, well, not pick up a piano, anytime you play a piano or pick up a guitar, you just play the same thing? That's me. 100% guilty. Actually don't think I own Blease Sampler. I love Blease stuff. I need to check out a few more of their things. There's too many good apps, too many good samplers. Now if they had an app sampler, we'd be at Chili's. Ba-dum-tsh. This one's cool. This is the one that adds the oh, I still have you're still on. I can still hear your tape hiss. See, that's the problem with my stuff, is that sometimes I use so many tape apps, I don't really realize that there's other ones playing in the background that shouldn't be on. I'm just like, oh, white noise. Yeah, that's nice. See, this is dope. Let's just do chroma verb. And let's do halls. Let's see, I can use my my keyboard will generate some chords. Yeah, maybe not. Well, that has been, now that I actually got to show the final product, that has been designing a sample, a playable sample for a sample pack, start to finish. Now, the sample that I made doesn't necessarily have to be put in a sampler. If I was creating samples for a decent sampler library, or to be put into Logic Sampler or Outgrowth or Blease Sampler or Ableton Sampler, that would kind of shape my approach from the beginning, but it wouldn't be much different than what I did here. In fact, that is what I did here, was make a sample that was playable. If I wanted to make a sample that was more like a textural thing, which I'm going to be doing a stream about, like, why do we use texture? What are they for? Why is it such a buzzword, keyword lately? What do you do with textures? How do you make them? How do you use them? If I was doing that, my approach would probably be a little bit different. And I'm going to talk about that in a future stream. I'm really excited to do that because I like texture and I use it a lot in my songs and my approach to making music in general. So I'm really excited to talk about those. But yeah, for something that is going to be playable in a sampler like this, if you just start at the beginning of the stream and skip over the part where my iPad was freaking out because I unplugged it from my computer, you get to see the whole thing start to finish. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching the stream. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. If you're not subscribed, please do. If you haven't liked the stream, please do. It makes a big difference. I would love to hear your textural piece. Send it to the Field Tone Audio Instagram. I think that'd be the best way to get a hold of me. Or if you're in the Patreon, you can jump on our Discord and send it in the showcase channel on the Field Tone Audio Discord and Patreon. You can get there through a free membership of the Patreon. It's a really cool growing community over there that I'm super proud of. Just watching everything with Field Tone Audio develop has been amazing. And these streams now being part of it, seeing people like you show up time after time is just a lot of fun. And I really appreciate you being here, genuinely. Yeah, I'm going to go make dinner because my wife's probably going to be home soon. She's going to want to eat, so I'll take care of that. And yeah, I'll stream again soon. Thanks for hanging out.